On a nice breezy day, Akari closes her eyes and prays at a shrine. Shirori walks up the steps to the shrine and accidentally trips but uses Akari's ass as a cushion. Akari, flustered, looks back, but Shirori asks Akari if she is praying before the marriage practical, and Akari runs away. The marriage practical that Akari is talking about is a crazy curriculum where the school forces students of opposite genders to pair up and live together. Despite the stupid practical, Jiro doesn't seem to give a shit, as he is more focused on beating a retro video game. Sadaharu is envious that Jiro can still get hard looking at 2D game characters and shows Jiro the new game that just released. As he shows Jiro the new character he is obsessed with, they hear Akari. Akari tells the losers to piss off as they are blocking the stairway and walks down proudly. Sadaharu inhales Akari's scent, but Jiro despises Akari because she thinks she is so cool. Just then, Minami walks up and Akari joyfully greets him while doing tricks on it. Soon, the bell rings and Jiro cannot wait to come back to his game. In class, Shirori greets Jiro and admits that she is nervous for the marriage practical. Jiro is nervous as well as he cannot talk to any other girl other than Shirori, his childhood friend and crush. The teacher informs the class that they will each get a partner. With their partners, they will stay at a training dorm with cameras. The dorms have 2 rooms that can only be unlocked with their fingerprint. No protein time, I guess. Jiro looks at Shirori and calculates that he has a 1 in 75 chance of being partnered up with Shirori and gets hopeful that he will get to live with his crush. The scene cuts to Akari yelling at Jiro. She jumps back on the couch, disappointed that her partner is a fucking loser, but Jiro reminds her that he hates her as well. Jiro tells her that he wants someone else as a partner, and Akari easily guesses that it is Shirori, teasing Jiro that some other guy is giving Shirori their protein. They start insulting each other, and their points get deducted. Partners lose and gain points depending on how well they get along. They start to panic and Akari demands Jiro to get along with her right this moment because if they can get enough points to reach grade A, they will be able to change partners. Jiro doesn't believe what Akari is saying, so he reads the manual and realizes that she is right. Jiro's face turns red as he imagines himself being lovey-dovey with Akari and balls up on the sofa. Akari grabs him and presses her big personality on his arm, teasing him for being scared of women. She whispers in his ears and calls him daddy, and they earn a point. She wants to keep pushing to get points, but Jiro doesn't want to continue. When he walks out to get a drink, Akari huddles, not wanting Minami to hide his sausage somewhere else other than in her. Meanwhile, Jiro takes his drink and spots Shirori walking with Minami, causing him to run back upset. At the dorm, Jiro mopes and Akari mocks him. He tells her to piss off, but she pats his head and speaks gently. Jiro immediately gets up, telling her to stop teasing him, but she assures him that she is being for real and encourages him. As Akari holds his face, Jiro tells her that he isn't a whore like her, and Akari tells Jiro to man the fuck up. The doorbell rings and Jiro sees Sadaharu in the camera, asking him to go somewhere. As Jiro is about to leave, Akari asks him to give her a goodbye kiss, but Jiro is too scared. She teases him for being an incel, but Jiro apologizes and kisses her on the lips. As he leaves, she drops to the ground while blushing, and their points recover back to 0. Jiro opens his eyes and sees Shirori. He puckers his lips, wanting a kiss, but opens his eyes to see Akari telling him to get the fuck up. He remembers what happened yesterday and immediately gets up. A week later in school, he sees Shirori and Minami walking together to school. A teacher comes in the room and wants to talk to him and Akari. Jiro turns back to see Shirori digging her face into Minami's arm. In class, he mopes and pictures Shirori talking to Minami. It starts raining after school and Jiro is stuck inside with Sadaharu. Sadaharu yaps about his favorite character once again, even though no one cares. Akari appears and is rushing to karaoke with her friends and Minami. As she is about to leave, Jiro stops her as they need to have a talk with the teacher, but Akari just runs away. Sadaharu is jealous that Jiro gets to breathe Akari's carbon dioxide every day. Later, the teacher concerns Jiro regarding their grades, as his points have stayed at 0 for the whole week. Meanwhile, Akari and Minami are at the karaoke bar. She rides it non-stop and wants to impress Minami with her singing ability. Jiro sits at the entrance waiting for the rain to stop, pissed that Akari is hanging out with other guys. He imagines Akari getting pounded by Minami's purple-headed one-eyed warrior and whines. Shirori walks up from behind and sits next to him. She grabs his arm and Jiro starts steaming. She tells Jiro to call her by her first name, and Jiro sees it as a time to confess. However, Minami interrupts him and Jiro tells them to head off without him. Akari eavesdrops in the rain. As Jiro sits in the school, Akari comes to him with an umbrella. They walk back home together and Akari complains that she didn't get the chance to walk with Minami, but all Jiro can do is apologize. Akari turns towards him and pinches his cheek, telling him to grow a pair. Back at the dorm, Akari has made omuris for dinner and squirts messily. The ketchup, I mean. Bro, why is she moaning? She tells him that her food is filled with her love. Hell nah. Jiro wants to feed Akari, but she rejects. Never mind. They are about to kiss when the phone rings, and as Jiro is talking on the phone, both of them are confused as to why their heart is beating so fast. On a rainy day, Jiro is fast asleep. Shirori knocks on his door, and he wakes up to see her soaking wet, asking Jiro to give it to her. Jiro leans in to kiss her, but he hears an echoing voice and wakes up, realizing it is a dream. Akari bangs on his door and wants Jiro to stay with her tonight. A lady holds a torch looking for her partner, but a body pops out a bag. Akari screams while covering her eyes, mentioning that watching horror movies together will boost their points. Jiro turns off the TV, and Akari tells him to stop being a fucking pussy if he really wants to get with Shirori. She shows him matching pajamas, and Jiro notices that Akari has been very enthusiastic after going to karaoke with Minami and thinks that something happened between them. Akari instructs Jiro to turn around as she wants to change and starts taking her shirt off. As she changes behind him, Jiro thinks that Akari is desensitized to nudity because she is a slut, and he also starts changing. A loud thunder claps and the power goes out. Jiro looks around when he gets pushed and Akari is on top of him. As Jiro struggles to not get hard, their points keep increasing and Akari does not let go. Jiro reaches for his smartphone and turns on the flash. Akari is tearing up and covers his face, calling him a pervert. Jiro tries to get the door unlocked, but since it uses a fingerprint scanner, they are unable to go back to their rooms and Akari wants him by her side immediately. As they sit next to each other, Akari tells him to give it to her. Jiro starts telling her a story about a water well. On stormy nights, a ghost woman appears. Jiro realizes that Akari is covering her ears. He tells her to stop being scared but apologizes, and Akari mentions that Minami wouldn't have scared her. Who asked? She touches his hand and turns to him, timidly telling Jiro to let her depend on him, and Jiro blushes. Jiro needs to stay focused.
We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused.
Akari finds a candle that her friend gave to her, and they stare at it. As the scent fills the air, Jiro calls Akari cute, but suddenly realizes what he has just done. Luckily, Akari is already asleep. He holds her hand, and they rest their heads on each other. Akari wakes up and blushes as she recalls Jiro calling her cute. In the morning, the students look for their practical ranks and Sadaru is impressed that Jiro is at B rank. Akari walks past them and cannot believe that they are E rank. After Jiro sees that, he is now concerned for Shirori and is confused as to why she is in E. Now, even if Jiro manages to get to A rank, he will not be able to swap partners with Minami. Shirori watches Mei play the piano. Mei tries to make sure that Shirori is doing okay with Minami, and Shirori tells her that she wishes her partner was her friend. Meanwhile, Jiro lies in bed, sick while Akari is out. He imagines Shirori tending to him, and the doorbell rings. He walks to the door happy that Akari is back early, but it is actually Shirori outside. Akari is at a cafe with her friends, but she is moping. As they eat the dessert, her friend says that the texture of the pancake feels like soft lips, and Akari remembers her kiss with Jiro and starts freaking out, making her friend think that she had protein time with Minami. Inside the house, Jiro thanks Shirori for buying him stuff, but she assures him that it was Akari who bought them. She reminds him of the time when they were little, and she was sick. Jiro came to her house and tended to her, so Shirori is here to return the favor. She places a compress on his forehead and asks to use his kitchen. As Shirori wears her apron, Jiro can't help but recall what happened in middle school. Before Shirori went to transfer schools, Jiro wanted to confess his feelings but got friend-zoned by her. Lols. Jiro opens his eyes to see that Shirori has made rice for him and devours the meal. Shirori mentions that she was going to feed him, and Jiro regrets devouring it. He asks her about Minami and compares himself to Minami. Jiro goes on and yaps about how he and Akari are getting along, and Shirori seems to look sad. He asks her about her E-rank situation, and Shirori tells him that she is awkward around guys and says how good it would be to have Jiro as her partner, hypothetically speaking. Jiro is not getting any of the fucking hints. He grabs her hands and proclaims that she would be a good wife, but gets embarrassed and covers himself under the sheets. Jiro falls asleep and Shirori sits by his bed, happy that he called her by her first name earlier. She leans in to kiss him. At the cafe, Akari's friends yap about fucking other guys. Send these sluts back to the streets. They joke that Shirori might steal Jiro from Akari, but Akari replies with a sad tone. Shirori stops herself from doing the no-consent kissing and recalls Jiro agreeing to be friends with her. She invited him to go watch the Christmas lights together, but Jiro rejected her ass. Akari goes back home and thinks about what her friend said in the shower. Jiro calls out to her from outside and promises to be the best husband and so that she can be with Minami, but for some reason, Akari is angry.